The Wizard of Oz, Munchkins and Witches and Shoes, Oh My, by Anya Murphy and Jesse Schultz.
Even though it mocks the U.S. government, The Wizard of Oz was named the most watched movie in history by the Library of Congress. The book and movie represent socialism in World War II. With its never-before-seen Technicolor effects, The Wizard of Oz changed cinematic history. It also led Judy Garland to her large success. All movies nowadays are in color, so The Wizard of Oz truly was a turning point in both cinematic and United States history.
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, copyrighted in 1899, has 24 chapters. There are 14 books in this series. This picture is the original cover of the book, which was later turned into a movie.
L. Frank Baum, the author of the Oz series, was born on May 15, 1856 in Chittenango, New York. Baum died in Hollywood, California on May 6, 1919.
Judy Garland was born on June 10, 1922 in Grand Rapids, Minnesota as Frances Gum. She changed her name to Judy Garland when she started her career. She died on June 22, 1969 from an overdose on drugs.
Judy Garland was signed by L.B. Meyer to MGM Studios when she was barely a teenager. She made nearly 30 films in her 15-year run of her MGM contract. She was 28 years old when the studio declined to renew her contract, and she turned to drugs to cope with depression and the rejection.
After her acting career with MGM Studios ended, she turned her attention to public concerts and a series of comebacks. Garland still made more films, just not as many as when acting was her main goal. She elevated her star image and popularity to a level that few have rivaled or even reached.
Judy was 17 when she was hired to play Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz. After the success of the movie, she was rewarded with more romantic roles, since her innocent image made her the singing girl next door, not the love interest, which all changed when she landed her big role. She acquired a difficult reputation and was often physically unable to fulfill the film commitments.
Nowadays, Judy Garland is known as one of the greatest actresses and singers of all time, with her rare contralto voice, which is a deep voice for the female singer. She is also known as a legend, and she herself has changed history. Garland is also a well-known gay icon, who supports gay people and had many homosexual fans and supporters. Many say her death was seen as a catalyst for the Stonewall Rebellion, which launched gay rights less than a month after her death, but officials say there was no connections.
The Wizard of Oz was released in 1939 and took about a year to film. It was filmed in California and was produced by MGM Studios. The head of the studio at the time was L.B. Meyer, who signed Garland. The producer wanted to make the film because he wanted to make a movie that would beat Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
L. Frank Baum wrote The Wonderful Wizard of Oz to represent socialism. Character representation.
The Scarecrow, the wise but naive Western farmers.
The Tin Woodsman, dehumanized Eastern factory workers.
The Cowardly Lion, Democratic populist, presidential candidate William Jennings Bryan.
Dorothy, the young Mary Lease, or the good-natured American people. The Good Witch of the North, New England a stronghold of populists.
The Wicked Witch of the East, the Eastern industrialist and banker who control the people, the Munchkins. Emerald City, Washington, D.C. The Cast.
Directed by Victor Fleming, George Cukor, Mervyn LeRoy, Norman Turog, King Biter.
Judy Garland is Dorothy Gale.
Frank Morgan played Professor Marvel, the Wizard of Oz, the Gatekeeper, the Carriage Driver, and the Guard.
Ray Bolger played the Scarecrow.
Bert Lahr was the Cowardly Lion.
Jack Haley was the Tin Man.
Billy Burke was Glinda, the Good Witch of the North.
Margaret Hamilton was Miss Gulch and the Wicked Witch of the West.
Charlie Grapewind, Uncle Henry.
Pat Walsh was Nico the Flying Monkey.
Annie M was played by Clara Blandick.
Toto was played by Terry.
The ruby slippers are the most treasured prop in film history. In the book, the slippers were silver, but the producer wanted to change it to ruby so the Technicolor effects were more enhanced and effective. The slippers are estimated to be around $2 million to $3 million.
There is known to be 4 pairs of ruby slippers to survive. 1 pair at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., which is rumored to be the one and only pair Garland wore in the film. 1 pair was at the Judy Garland Museum in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, but was later stolen and is still missing. 1 pair, the sister set, was given to Michael Shaw, and the last pair was believed to be made for Bobby Cochet, Judy Garland's stunt double. It is now owned by David Elkeby.
The Wizard of Oz used old school special effects, not the new computer graphics that movies use today.
When Dorothy threw water onto the Wicked Witch of the West, there was a platform below her that made it look like she was melting. Jello powder was used to cover the horses in Emerald City. They used 6 white horses, but the powder became a problem when the horses started to eat it. They had to shoot the scenes quickly so the Jello was untouched.
The Wizard of Oz was a major achievement, especially that it was made 75 years ago and lacked all the great technology we have today. It used a lot of old school effects, not computer-generated imagery or CGI, which we use a lot today. If The Wizard of Oz used CGI, many viewers would say it would take away from the special charm the movie brought to them.
There were many short-term effects from The Wizard of Oz. The book brought a whole new perspective to fantasy novels with its unusual characters and fantasy plot elements. It also mocked the United States government with its symbolization related to World War II.
It has become the inspiration for many fantasy novels and films, and the book and the movie has been translated into over 50 languages all over the world. In some countries, the story is altered. In India, the Tin Woodsman is switched with a snake. In Russia, there are 5 books translated by Alexander Melantievich Volkov, which is different than the original books, and is called The Wizard of Oz of the Emerald City. The story tells about Ali and her dog Totoshka as they travel through the magical land.
Upon release, The Wizard of Oz received positive reviews. The New York Times praised the novel, writing that it would appeal to children and would be great for kids even if they can't read. It also praised the illustrations in the book to match the text really well.
There are many long-term effects out of The Wizard of Oz. Many modern TV shows nowadays reference to The Wizard of Oz, either making parodies, quoting it, or doing the songs.
Another long-term effect The Wizard of Oz still holds is the impact it made on culture. Many people know about The Wizard of Oz and can tell by just a coat or costume. One of the most popular movie costumes is the Dorothy costume. It is even available for toddlers and adults. All in all, The Wizard of Oz was a big impact on culture, film history, and was truly a turning point in history.